Welcome to Mindful Leadership, Transforming Lives, with your host, Singh. This is where leadership meets purpose, presence, and passion. In today's fast paced, high pressure world, we face a leadership crisis. Too often, teams are led by managers who lack empathy, clarity, and vision, leaving individuals uninspired, disconnected, and undervalued. But it doesn't have to be this way. Great leadership isn't born, it's built. The end game: empower your leadership, inspire the world. Every week, join me, your host Singh, as we tackle the gaps in leadership and life coaching head on, learning how mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and compassion can redefine success. This isn't just another podcast, it's a mission to fill the void left by ineffective leadership. And it's not just about leadership in business. Life coaching for leaders and new executives is at heart of this journey. Ready to rise above the noise and lead with clarity, purpose, and impact? Join a global movement dedicated to reshaping the future of leadership one mindful moment at a time. Let's begin. Welcome back to Mindful Leadership Transforming Lives on the Transformation Network. I am your host Singh, here to help you become the leader the world needs. A mindful, emotionally agile, and inspiring force for good. Thank you for tuning in because today's episode is a big one, folks. We are diving headfirst into emotional agility for teams. Now, I know what you're thinking: emotions in workplace, really? Can we just focus on spreadsheets, deadlines, coffee breaks? But here's the truth: those emotions you are trying to avoid, they are already running the show. Whether it's unspoken tension in a meeting or that one team member who is always this close to flipping the table in frustration, emotions are everywhere. And here's the kicker: they are not the problem, it's how we handle them that makes or breaks a team. The world needs better leaders, and guess what? That's you. By end of this episode, you will have tools to harness emotional agility so you can lead your team with clarity, strength, and yes, maybe even a little humor. So buckle up, it's going to be fun. Let's begin. Let's start addressing the elephant in the room. How many of you have been in virtual meeting where someone's mic was off, the camera was off, and you are like, are they even there? Or this is a ghost of deadlines past. Meanwhile, emotions are flying everywhere. Bob looks frustrated because the project is behind schedule. Susan smiling through her stress, and you over here trying to figure out how to make everyone happy while still hitting the quarterly goals. Here's the thing: emotions in teams aren't distraction, they are the data. They are telling you what's really going on beneath the surface. As a leader, it's your job to not just to manage that data, but to use it. Emotional agility isn't about ignoring feelings or pushing them aside. It's about navigating them with skill so you can lead with empathy and purpose. And yes, also figuring out why Bob is so mad all the time. Is it the deadline or is the coffee machine broken again? Well, we will not know unless we ask. Now, I get this probably sounds easier said than done. Emotions are messy, unpredictable, and let's be honest, sometimes downright annoying. But that's where the awake framework comes in. This is your cheat code for navigating emotional challenges like a pro. Each step: acknowledge, watch for biases, align with core value, kindly engage, and evolve practices gives you a clear, actionable way to show up as a leader your team needs. I'm going to break this down in this episode, but here's a quick teaser. Imagine, imagine you are in a high pressure meeting. Tensions are rising. Instead of reacting on autopilot, snapping at someone or shutting down, you pause. You acknowledge what's happening, identify your biases, and respond with clarity and compassion. Suddenly, you are not just managing the room, you are leading it. So let's dive into the big question: why does emotional agility matter for teams? Let's be honest, teams are
emotional minefields. You have got Bob in the corner who's spiritually annoyed, Susan who's smiling but clearly overwhelmed, and then there's you trying to hold it all together like the captain of a ship in a storm. But here's the truth: emotions are contagious. If one person brings negativity in the room, it spreads faster than a cold at a kindergarten. And if you, as a leader, are emotionally reactive, guess what? Your team is going to mirror that energy. Emotional agility is the antidote to chaos. It helps you navigate through those emotional waves with clarity, composure, turning what could be chaotic into something collaborative. Think about the recent shift to hybrid work. It's been a emotional roller coaster for teams all across the world. Some people love working from home, others are counting down the days until they can return to the office. The emotions are amplified because we are all living in a echo chamber. As leaders, we ignore these emotions. And if we ignore these emotions, we are missing the opportunity to create connection and trust. Because emotional agility helps us address these challenges head on, fostering a culture where people feel seen and supported. Let's not even talk about AI taking all our jobs. That's been a hot button. Some of your team members might be excited about possibilities while others are quietly Googling, will AI replace my job by 2026? Emotional agility means addressing these fears and balancing them with optimism and clarity. It's about being the steady and empathetic leader of your team that the team needs. I'll get a nerdy for a second because I love a good brain fact. When emotions are high, your amygdala, yes, your drama queen of your brain, takes over. This is what scientists call the amygdala hijack. It's why you might snap at a team member or send a passive aggressive email that you immediately regret. But here's the cool part: when you practice emotional agility, you are activating your prefrontal cortex, the logical, rational part of your brain. Think of it as the calm, collected friend who says, hey, maybe don't respond to that email with all caps. See, emotional agility gives you the tool to pause, process, and respond thoughtfully rather than reactive impulsively. So you must be probably thinking, this all sounds great saying, but how do I actually do this? That's where Awake framework I'm sharing with you this week. It's like Swiss Army knife for emotional agility. Simple, practical, and versatile. Roll up your sleeves, and we are ready to deep dive into part of today's episode, applying the Awake framework. This is where mindfulness meets practicality. I'm going to break it down step by step, and along the way, I'll guide you through simple, actionable exercises to help you integrate these concepts into your leadership style. Think of this as your emotional agility toolkit, something you can pull out anytime, whether you're navigating a crisis, managing team dynamics, or just to stay sane during your third Zoom meeting of the day. And don't worry, I'll keep this fun, relatable, and should not feel like a trip to a dentist. So let's begin again. Step one: acknowledge the present moment. We have discussed this. You cannot fix what you don't recognize. In meetings with heavy tension, pause and ask yourself, what's happening right now for me and my team? It is similar to noticing you have been driving on autopilot. Acknowledging the present moment snaps you out of it. So, step one, pausing to acknowledge the present moment. You might think you're too busy, but without this pause, you may react on autopilot and regret it later. Think of it like, have you ever been on your phone while making coffee, only to realize you just poured milk into the sugar jar. That's what happens when we are not present. We get caught up in the noise and miss what's right in front of us. So, we are going to try a quick 1 minute mindfulness exercise. Of course, if you're not driving or operating any heavy machinery, close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it for 3 seconds, and exhale out through your mouth. Now, just notice what's happening in your body. Are your shoulders tense? Is your jaw clenched? What emotions are bubbling up? Stress, excitement, may both. Here's the thing, don't judge it, just notice it. Just be an observer. This is what I call 1 minute mindfulness. It's like pressing the reset button on a computer that's overheating. You create space to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. Ponder this. You are in a team meeting and someone just dropped the ball on a major project. Your first instinct might be to say, seriously, Bob, again. But when you pause, acknowledge the moment, you realize that you are frustrated because you have been carrying the load for the team. That awareness, by becoming the observer, gives you the clarity to address the situation constructively instead of blowing up. See how it works? The second step, watch your biases. Addressing biases is to uncover those that affect our judgment. Now, everyone possesses biases, which can influence how we interpret actions. For instance, assuming someone is inattentive during meetings because they are using their phone, but overlook the possibility that they are actually taking notes. Similarly, interpreting biases can be subtle, and often it goes unnoticed. For example, one might assume that an individual's frustration is due to their dislike of a project, when in fact, they may simply need a break. So, identifying biases involves taking a step back and questioning the assumptions being made to ensure a comprehensive understanding of the situation. Biases behave like persistent internet advertisements, frequently irrelevant and disruptive. But monitoring those biases requires pausing to reflect on stories we tell ourselves and verifying if that and when they are accurate and needs to be corrected. Here's a quick exercise. Again, if you're not driving and not operating any heavy machinery, grab a piece of paper and write down one assumption you are making about a person or situation. Very first person or very first situation, it can be this conversation we are having here. Just grab that first thought and ask yourself, is this a fact or is it my interpretation? What evidence do I have to support or disapprove this assumption? How might I see this differently if I were in their shoes? This exercise is like cleaning the smudges off your glasses. You will see the situation more clearly, and that clarity will help you respond with empathy and wisdom. Here's a real life example. Once assumed my colleague didn't care about a project because they kept missing deadlines. Turn out they were juggling a newborn at home and barely sleeping. Imagine if I had confronted them without understanding the full picture. Instead, I paused, asked a few questions, and realized they needed support, not criticism. So always check your story before you react or act on it. Now, step three, align with your core values. Emotions can cloud judgment, but values guide you back to what matters. Values act like a GPS of decisions in emotional moments. Ask yourself, what are my top values and how they can guide me in this situation? If empathy is a value, show it to Susan, who is overwhelmed. If integrity matters, deliver tough feedback honestly but kindly. Leading with values makes decisions authentic and earns respect. If honesty is your value, approach tough conversations with transparency. Actions aligned with values lead with integrity, inspiring trust. There's a very simple value alignment check exercise. Take a moment to write down your top three values. It can be anything: creativity, integrity, honesty, empathy. Now think about a decision you're facing this week and ask yourself, how can I approach this decision in a way that reflects my values? What action would make me feel trapped, aligned with who I am? This practice is just not about making better decisions. It's about being the kind of leader you would want to follow yourself. Let's say you're dealing with a team member who's not pulling their weight. It happens all the time. Instead of snapping at them, you reflect on your value of empathy and honesty. You decide to have a private conversation to understand what's going on rather than calling them out in front of the team. That's value based leadership. Yes, it's not always easy, but it is always worth it. The next step is to kindly engage. Kindness should not be perceived as weakness. It is, in fact, a significant strength. Engaging with kindness involves fostering psychological safety within your team by asking open ended questions like, how are you feeling about this project? And then actively listening to the responses, not walk out. See, demonstrating kindness is an essential aspect of effective leadership. So, this step emphasizes engaging with others in a manner that builds trust and ensures psychological safety. It is important to understand being kindness, being kind does not equate to being easily manipulated. Instead, it involves exhibiting empathy and respect even during challenging conversations. Here's a tip: practice compassionate listening. That means no interrupting, no problem solving, no jumping in your own story, just listening. Trust me, you and your team will notice the difference and appreciate the very day you start that. In the next interaction that you have, no matter who it is, practice compassionate listening. No interrupting, no jumping in with solutions, no making it about you. Just listen, reflect back what you hear, and ask clarifying questions. This might feel awkward at first, but I promise it's a game changer for building trust and connection. And then the last step, evolve practices. Leadership is an ongoing process of development, and it is important to regularly evaluate which strategies are effective and which are not. Consider reflecting on questions such as, what did I learn today and how I can improve tomorrow? Keeping a daily reflection journal can be beneficial. Again, not a novel. Simple journaling, micro journaling. Simply record one insight or area for improvement each day. Over time, these small steps will lead to substantial progress. Effective leaders are committed to continuous learning, reflecting, and improvement. Under this, you need to deliver a tough feedback to a team member. Without emotional agility, you might blurt out something reactive like, you're not meeting my expectation, and it's frustrating. See, that's defensive and awkward silence very quickly. But end of the each day, spend 5 minutes reflecting what went well today. What could I have done differently? What's one small improvement I can make tomorrow? I remember a time when I completely watched a team presentation instead of beating myself up. I reflected on what went wrong and made a plan to improve. After that, I nailed every single presentation I've given. Reflection is not about perfection, it's about progress. All right, let's bring this all together with a real world example of emotional agility in action. This is not just theory, it's a practical, actionable framework, something you can start using today. Imagine you have got a team that's completely disconnected. Meetings feel like awkward family dinners with nobody wants to make eye contact. Deadlines are being missed, communications is breaking down, and morale is in the basement. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The leader of the team, let's call her Maya, used the awake framework to completely transform the dynamic of the team. Maya started by acknowledging the tension in the room. Instead of pushing forward with the agenda, she paused and said, I am sensing some frustration and tension in the team. Let's take a moment to talk about what's going on. Think of it like walking into a coffee shop and realizing they are out of oat milk. You feel the disappointment in the air before anyone says a word. Emotional awareness is like that. It's about noticing the unspoken energy and addressing it. Next step, Maya examined her assumptions. She realized she had been assuming her team didn't care about their work because they were not meeting deadlines. But when she dug deeper, she discovered the real issue. People felt overwhelmed and were afraid to speak. It's like when your partner says, we need to talk, and you immediately think, oh no, they've discovered my secret stash of snacks. But in reality, they just want to figure out what's for dinner. Don't let your brain fill in the blanks, get the facts. Once Maya understood the root cause, she aligned her response with her core values of empathy and collaboration. Instead of assigning blame, she said, I want to create an environment where everyone feels supported and heard. Let's brainstorm how we can tackle these challenges together. As I shared, think of values like the GPS on your phone. Even if you miss a turn, or in this case, snap at someone, you can always recalculate and get back on track. It's not about being perfect, it's about staying aligned. Maya then held one on one check ins with her team members. Instead of jumping in with the solution, She practiced compassionate listening. She asked open ended questions. What support do you need right now? How are you feeling about the workload? Think of this step as being the therapist for 3 minutes. Your job is not to say, have you tried yoga? It's just to nod and say, tell me more. Trust me, it works wonders. Finally, Maya made reflection a regular part of the leadership. At the end of each week, she would ask her team, what's one thing we did well and what one thing we can improve? This simple habit created a culture of continuous growth. Reflection is like brushing your teeth. It only takes a minute, but it prevents a lot of problems down the road. Plus, it makes you feel fresh and ready for the next day. All right, folks, we have covered a lot today. Here is what I want you to do in your next meeting or even just a one on one conversation. Put the awake framework into practice. Start by acknowledging your present. Take a few moments, pause, breathe, and notice the emotional tone. Then pick up just one step from the framework to focus on. Maybe it's watching your biases, asking yourself whether you're jumping to a conclusion, or kindly engaging by truly listening to what your team says. Every day this week, take 30 seconds at the start of your workday to ask yourself, how can I show up as an emotionally agile leader today? That's it. 30 seconds. Write it down if you can. By the end of the week, reflect on how those small moments of mindfulness impacts your leadership. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave a quick review. It's like tipping your barista. It doesn't take much, but it makes a huge difference for us. Reviews help us reach more leaders like you. And let's be honest, the world could use a lot of more emotionally agile leaders right now. And as we leave today, I will leave you with this. Leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up, messy emotions and all, but having the courage to lead with authenticity, empathy, and purpose. So go out there, take a deep breath, and start making those small shifts. We have got this, and I have got you back. Until next time, I'm saying on the Transformation Network in Mindful Leadership, Changing Words. Remind you to lead mindfully, live purposefully, and inspire the world. See you next week.
Thank you for watching Mindful Leadership Transforming Lives. With me, your host, Singh. We are honored to have you join us on this journey to explore the transformative power of mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and authentic leadership. Tune in every week on transformationtalkradio.com at noon Pacific on Tuesdays, where we will continue to explore how mindful leadership can create a ripple effect of positive changes in your life and lives of those you influence. This show is dedicated to helping you lead with purpose, presence, and passion. Whether you're navigating the complexities of business, building strong connection with your team, or striving to make a meaningful impact in the world around you. To learn more about the show, access additional resources, or dive deeper, visit singpowerupcoach.com. Remember, leadership isn't just about what you do, it's about who you are. Let's continue to transform lives together, one mindful moment at a time. See you next week.